In this video, we'll be working through the question you see on the screen from the 2023 Ordinary Level Maths Leaving Cert. I recommend you try the question before watching, and if you get stuck anywhere, feel free to ask for help in the comments. I will do my best to get back to you. Check out my channel for a playlist with all the other questions. In question 10, we're going to be looking at some volume questions, some ratios and percentages, and obviously all wrapped up in some problem solving. So for A part 1, they give us this shape here, a cylinder, and they simply ask us to find the volume of it. Now there's only one little trick here, is that they give us the diameter and not the radius. It's the radius we want to be dealing with. So what's the volume for a cylinder? You can go ahead and look this up in your book, but it's equal to pi r squared, that's the area of a circle, multiplied by the height. And that makes sense because you're really adding up loads of circles to get to the volume of a cylinder. So instead of 18 here, we're going to use r is equal to 9. That's really the one trick that probably tripped up a lot of people. H is equal to 5, and we go ahead and put this into the formula. V is equal to pi. Get that in our calculator. We don't have to use 3.14 or anything like that. 9 squared, put brackets around everything, multiplied by 5. And we go ahead and we can multiply that on our calculator quite slowly. And the answer I get is 1272. It's not exactly that, but they wanted us to round it to the nearest millimeter cubed. Now if you forget this cubed, that's fine. Just the number is the important part. Okay, on to part 2. I'll use the same picture here, because for part 2, what we're doing is we're thinking of this as like a solid metal block, and we're going to cut out, let's see if I can draw this, we're going to cut out another cylinder from inside of it, and they want us to find out what's the volume of this ring, because that's all a ring is. It's a cylinder with another cylinder cut out. So how do we do that? The easiest way to do that is to find the volume of the bigger cylinder, which we just did. I'll draw this just as a circle. The volume of the bigger cylinder, and then take away the volume of the smaller cylinder. And what we're left with equals, we're left with a ring. So that's what we're going to do. Basically what we want to do is find the volume of this smaller cylinder, and they tell us this is 14 across, and it's still obviously 5 millimeters high. So let's work out the volume of this smaller cylinder here. Let's see, it's 5 high and it's 7 radius. So it's V is equal to pi 7 squared multiplied by the height 5. So remember the radius 7, it's half of the diameter. Again, that's another one. Students probably would have used 14 there. Oh, by the way, if you did use the wrong thing in an exam, if you used 18 instead of 9, and then you used 14 instead of 7, they wouldn't take away, they wouldn't mark you as 2 mistakes. They'd only mark that as 1 mistake, at least I hope they would. So you might get like very high marks, even though all your answers for these parts would be wrong, because you really only made 1 basic mistake. Anyway, hopefully you don't make that mistake. You put this in your calculator, find pi in your calculator, it's there somewhere. 7 multiplied by 7 multiplied by 5, all comes out to 502, rounded off to the nearest, oh sorry, that's not right. It is equal to 770, rounded off. Then once you've got that, you can take the volume of the big cylinder minus the volume of the smaller cylinder, which is 1272 minus 770, and that equals let's see, 502. Now that is, they will take that as the correct answer, but I do want to warn you, it's actually not the correct answer. So you can pause the video and see what did I do wrong here. And again, it's no big deal because they will accept this. I checked in the marking scheme. They will take this as the correct answer. What I did wrong is I rounded off this number, this one here, and I rounded off this number. So there was a slight mistake, and a slight mistake made an even bigger mistake. So if I didn't round these off, if I kept, let's see, this answer here as pi 9 squared multiplied by 5 minus pi 7 squared multiplied by 5, put all that into a calculator, the answer would actually be a little closer to 503. It's like the real answer is in between the two. But that's actually more of a lesson, because the Leaving Cert doesn't care. They make sure to take both answers, because it's such a small mistake. But really in life, small mistakes can add up. When you put a small mistake and keep doing it, it adds up to a bigger mistake at the end. Not too big, but still that could be important in jobs, in college, things like that. So it's just something to keep an eye on. Either of these would be fine. Okay, on to part B. They're still talking about rings. They talk about a particular ring weighs 8 grams, 8 grams, and it contains 3 grams of gold. 3 grams of, let's put a big G for gold. Work out the percentage of the weight of the ring that is pure gold. Very quick answer, but I'm going to do it really slowly. I'm going to say 8 grams is the same as 100%. Because that's the full ring. The ring is 100%. And I want to know what 3 grams is. What percent of that is it? So I change 8 into 1. And if I change 8 into 1, I better change 100 into 1. If I change 8 into 1, I better do the same thing over here. So 8 divided by 8 is 1. 100 divided by 8. Change 1 into 3, multiply by 3. So I better multiply this guy by 3. 3 times 100 divided by 8. And if I put that into a calculator, where have we got it here, is 37.5%. Now, most teachers will just tell you, and it's what hopefully you will do once you get used to all this, and just say gold is 3 grams, the total is 8 grams, so the percentage is 3 over 8, and that will equal 0.375 to turn it, sorry, I said percentage, but the ratio, the ratio 3 over 8 is equal to this, and that's the same as 37.5%, or multiply that by 100 if you rather. Some teachers say multiply by 100, which, as you can see, it's the same answer here. I've taken up the entire board to answer that, so I better rub it out to do the next part. For B part 2, I'll try and use the board a little smarter this time. They tell us about pink gold, and they tell us pink gold is made up of pure gold, copper and silver, and they tell us this is in the ratio of 15 to 4 to 1. We often use percentages, we often use ratios, we often use fractions, so you sort of have to get used to all of these and learn how to change between them. So anyway, this is how you would make pure gold. And you can see how useful ratios can be if you were actually making something like cement, or in this case a what's called a pink gold compound. You literally just pour in 15 parts of gold, 4 parts of copper, 1 part of silver, and you mix it together. Obviously it's a little harder than that, I'm sure, but you can see why ratios could be useful. But they want us to change from ratios and work out the number of grams of pure gold in a copper ring that's 25 grams. So there's a couple of ways to do this. In my notes when I did it myself, I did use it. I found the percentage of this that is gold and just multiply by 25 grams, but I think I can see an easier way. So if we see how many parts are in this total, there's 15 plus 4 plus 1. So 15 plus 4 plus 1 equals 20. There's 20 parts in this. So for every 20 that goes into this, 15 of it's gold. So if 20 goes in, 15 gold comes out. But we know actually 25 grams went in. So if we just change this to 25 grams, see how much of it is gold. That'd be one way. Change 20 into 1. Better do the same over here. Divide it by 20. Divide 15 by 20. I'll show you the percentage way now after this. Just because I'm not sure if people will like this way. To change 1 into 25, multiply by 25. So 25 multiplied by this guy, 15 over 20. And if you put all that in, you'll get the same answer. So I can just use the answer I have here. And the answer I have here is equal to 18.5 0.75 grams. At least I hope that works out the same. Yeah, 25 divided by 20 is 1 point something, a small bit, 1 point, a small bit multiplied by 15, should be around 18. Makes sense. So I'll go with that as an answer. If you didn't like that way, here's what I did originally. I'm gonna end up using the whole board again. What I did originally is I worked out what percentage of it is gold. This is what I would do myself. And again, their total is 20. Gold is 15 of it. I won't do it the long way again. I'll just say 15 divided by 20 is the ratio of gold to total. And that's equal to 0.75, or if I want to write that as a percentage, 75%. So 75% of pink gold is real gold. And they ask us how many 25 grams of pink gold, how much of it's real gold? I think that's what they're asking, isn't it? Yeah. So I just multiply 75% by that. So 25 multiplied by 0.75, and that will equal 18.75. Same answer as that. Actually, I'm sure there's probably another way to do this as well. That's the thing, like I said, ratios, percentages, they're all the same. They can all be changed between themselves. So hopefully one of those ways made sense to you, and it helped. Now I'll have to rub out all this again and do part 3. Hopefully that time I won't use the entire board. Part 3, and again, hopefully I won't, my arm's getting tired from all this rubbing out, so hopefully I will keep this a bit more succinct. This time they tell us about rose gold. Last time it was pink gold, this time rose gold. And it tells us it's made up of 75% 75% pure gold, 22.25% something. What's that? Copper, and then 2.75% silver. Silver. And they want us to put that into ratios. So like the last question, they gave us ratios, and I changed it into percentage so I could use it. This time they gave us percentages and they want us to change it into a ratio. Well, a ratio is very easy to do with all this information. Here's a ratio: 75, 22.25, 2.75. Let's see, that all adds up to 100%. So it just has to add up to the total. Actually, let's just double check it does. That'd be 23 plus another 2, 25. Okay, it does. Phew, I thought I'd missed some. So there's a ratio. This is sort of an answer. The only problem is they asked us to give the answer as A, B, C. I've done that, A, B, C. But they told us they had to be elements of n. Really, that just means natural numbers. So a decimal place doesn't work. So that's a little unfortunate. So I know how to change that. A ratio, if you multiply them all by the same thing, you're fine. And divide them all by the same thing, you're fine. So how about I multiply these all by 100? And that'll get rid of this decimal place. So I'll get 275. Multiply this by 100 will also get rid of that decimal place. And multiply this by 100. 7. Now, there we go, that's an answer. It satisfies this, A, B, C, and I think you'd probably get most of the marks for this. There's only one problem: they asked it in the simplest form. So I wouldn't be happy as a teacher. I wouldn't be happy if you gave me this as an answer. I'd probably be a little happy because at least you satisfied this part. And so we can make that smaller, and you could just try this out yourself. Like what goes into all of these? Like 5 would be a good guess. And using a calculator, I got that was 1,500 goes in. 5 goes into this 445, and 5 goes into this 55. But again, I would look at that and go, 5 goes into all of these again. So I can do this one in my head. 300. This would be 89, and goes into that one 11. And actually now I don't have to test and see if anything goes into all of them, because 11's a prime number. Nothing goes into that except for 11. So maybe I'd check if 11 went into all of them, and then we could have 1 something. But no, 11 doesn't go into 89, so I don't have to check the rest. And that'd be the full answer. So this would be an okay answer. This would be a pretty good answer. bit better. You won't get any extra marks between these two, and that'd be the full marks. I think they would take a mark off for this, and they'd definitely take a mark off for this one. Okay, let's move on to part C. Okay, in part C, they give us a table that looks something like this. I've just roughly put it down. Basically, it tells us that we're talking about insuring something here, like a gold coin, and it tells us that anything that costs 1,000 or less, and the insurance will be 1%. Anything that costs 10,000, between 1,000 and 10,000, will cost 2% plus whatever the first 1,000 would have cost. And anything over 10,000 will cost % plus the cost of the previous ones. So yeah, this is something that comes up now and then. In fact, taxes work quite like this. And most exams, you'll get a question about taxes, and it'll be something similar. Your first amount of money is on a certain percentage, your next amount is on a next, and so on. Okay, so what did they actually ask here? They asked us to work out the cost per year of insuring something valued at 1,800. So how do we do that? We have to work out the cost of valuing the first 1,000 plus the cost of valuing the next 800. So that's how this works. The cost of valuing the first 1,000 is 1%, and the cost of the next 800 is 2%. So 1% of 1,000 is €10, and 2% of 800, check on a calculator, is 16. So the total cost is 10 plus 16, €26. That's the answer. That's how much it would cost in this system to insure something that's worth 1,800. So on to the next part, part 2. They ask us, what is the cost of insuring the cost of insurance a necklace? So the final answer is €142.80. What's the total value? What's the starting amount? That is a little tricky because we don't know how much it's worth. We know it's worth more than 1,800 because 26 is 142.8 is more than 26, so it must be worth more than that. But we don't know, is it less than 10,000 or over? So what I would actually do first is just quickly over to the side, I'd work out how much it would cost for something that's worth 10,000. 1,000 and 9,000, 1%, 2%, that's €10, and this is, let's see, €90, €180. Total 190. So that's if something costs 10,000 in this system, it would cost 190. This must be less than 10,000. Okay, that makes it simpler. There's also a couple of other ways you would know this is less than 10,000. The fact they never would have asked us this because we're missing the total amount and we're missing ore. So we couldn't have done it if it was over 10,000. But really, I think the examiner probably messed up here. They should have just told you it was less than 10,000, just to save you doing this. But still, that's fine. Or maybe they want you to do this. Okay, so we have a starting amount we don't know. So here's what we know. We know we have to insure 1,000, and then we have to insure something X. We know the first 1,000's at 1%. We know this X amount's at 2%. 1% of 1,000 is 10, and we have to add that onto this. 2% of X. 2% can be written like this: 0.02, and 2% of something is just multiplied. 0.02 multiplied by X, and we know the answer. The answer is 142.8. So this, we can actually get X. We know everything except one. We're just missing X, so we can just rearrange this. Take 10 from both sides, we get 0.02x is equal 10 from here, that disappears. 10 from this side, we get 132.8. Divide both sides by this, x, this disappears, turns into a 1. And this side we divide by 0.02, and that will equal, let me have a quick look at my notes. let's see, will equal 6,640. Now, I'm sure some students probably did this, got this number, and then finished. That's it. That's the final answer. It's not. That was just. This was just the second part. The first we already insured the first 1,000. This was the next 6,600. So the total cost of whatever this was, a necklace. The total cost of the necklace was 7,640. First 1,000 plus the next 6,600. So that would be the final answer to part 2. Okay, I'll rub this out and we'll do part 3. Finally, we're going to be looking at this OR percent. Okay, on to part 3. I started to rub this out, so apologies, it looks a bit messy. On to part 3, they tell us they have a brooch and the cost is 17,500. So we know we're going to use all 3 of these parts now. And we know the final answer of insuring it all is 435. So basically work out what OR is, they're asking us. Exceeds 10,000. Yeah, work out the value of OR correct to 1 decimal place. I think I haven't got to 1 decimal place, but I can see what the answer is. Okay, so how do we do this? We break it down just like the last time. I'll do it up here. I have all the room. This is the last question. We have to insure the first 1,000. We have to insure the next 9,000. Actually, in fact, this part might help you understand the other parts if you were still lost. So we have to insure the first 1,000. We have to insure the next 9,000. And then we have to insure the last 7,500. This has to be insured at 1%. Or the cost of insuring is 1%. The cost of this is 2%. And the cost of this guy is OR percent. 1% of that is 10. 2% of that, we already did this down here, is 180. And OR percent, well, I would write OR percent as OR divided by 100. That's what OR percent is in a number, multiplied by 7,500. That's how I got all these. 1 divided by 100 multiplied by 1,000. 2 divided by 100 multiplied by 9,000. Or divided by 100 multiplied by 7,500. And if we add all this up, 10 plus 180 plus OR over 100, even if just because a number looks complicated doesn't mean we can't use adding and multiplying on it. We add it all together and it equals, did I write down that anywhere? 435. Because they told us the final answer. So again, we're only missing one thing out of this. So that's easy. This 10 plus 190 is 10 plus 180 is 190. So if we take 190 from both sides, we're left with OR divided by 100 multiplied by 7,500. This minus 190 is 245. Yeah, that works. Let's see, we need to multiply both sides by 100. That can be done quite quickly. Multiply that by 100, it turns into a 1. Multiply this by 100, we get 24,000. And then divide both sides by 7,500. So OR is equal 24,500 divided by 7,500, and that is equal this will come out as 3.2666666 going on forever. 1 decimal place. So this guy is important, and so that means we look at these two. Is 26 closer to 30 or closer to 20? It's closer to 30. So the final answer I would give is 3.3%. 3.3%. One or two things to note there. Some students might not have wrote the 100. So if you're thinking, I left the 100 out, my answer's wrong. No, it wouldn't be. It'd be fine. You would just get down here, instead of 3.266, you would get 0.032666, which you at this point you should change to 3.2666%. That's not a percent, that is a percent. And yeah, so some students might have rounded this off to 1 decimal place, which would be 0. So that would have been a problem. If you did that in the exam, if you did everything okay, the examiner would see that little mistake at the end and go, they made a small mistake around percentages, and they'd probably only take 1 mark off the whole question. Okay, that answers everything, or at least I attempted. It could easily be a mistake somewhere. If you see a mistake, or if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to leave a comment below, and thanks for watching and have a great day.